I wanted to be a nurse practitioner, and any chance of being a nurse, my dreams crumbled. Not do well. I had to learn the hard way. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Coco is here, and I'm back with another video. Today I will be talking about my entire nursing journey to becoming ultimately an adult geriatric primary care nurse practitioner. I'm actually greatly inspired by Kendra RN, who is also a YouTuber. I will link her handle here in the video. Essentially, she did a video basically showing, talking about her nursing journey and how she actually became a nurse and what really influenced her to become a nurse, and I was super inspired by it. Yeah, I thought this would be a great way to get to know me a little bit more on a deeper level, and you know, whether you're doing nursing or not, I think it's inspiring and great and just relatable to see other challenges that people have gone through to ultimately become successful and to achieve their goals, which are quite ambitious. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So I actually have my journal. It's called Blessed. So I'm actually gonna put a few key points so that I don't forget, so like I don't leave anything out. So let's put. So yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just jotting down a few things. Give me a second. Alrighty, so I think I jotted down a few key points, so hopefully I remember to address all of them. I actually just came back from work. Right now, I just came home from work maybe like an hour ago. Right now it's 4:12. So, alright, so how did I end up becoming a nurse practitioner? Okay, so ever since I was very young, I loved children. Like, I just love children. I love like babies, you know, those little kids that are always fascinated with babies and things like that. And I was the youngest of three, and one of my brothers is 4 years older than me. My other brother is about 10 years older than me. So I'm sorry, one is 4 years older than me, the other one is 15 years older than me. So they're both boys, they're both males. They never wanted to play with me, so I always wish I had a sister. I always wish I had a twin sister. Anytime I would see twins, I'd be like, dang, I wish I was a twin so I could have a best friend. And I always admired my teachers. Like, I always thought it was so cool how they had such control over the classroom. They get to, you know, interact with children, teach them, you know, kind of tell them what to do, when to do. And I don't know, I just really was enamored by my teachers. I like adored them. I admired them immensely. So when I was younger, I used to always pretend, because remember, I'm an only child, nobody wants to play with me. Even when I try to play video games with my brothers, they were just like, get out of my room. So essentially, we used to have a staircase in the home that I grew up in, and I would pretend to be a teacher because I loved kids, and I would like have like an imaginary chalkboard. I didn't even have a real chalkboard, and I would literally like name the kids and I would like give them assignments and just basically emulate my teachers. Like, okay, you can go to the bathroom. Okay, this is the assignment for this today. Oh, you two stop talking. Like, all in my imagination. So growing up, I essentially wanted to be a teacher. So when I told my mom that I wanted to be a teacher, she was just like, and my mother's Caribbean, Jamaican. So when my mother was like, a teacher, she was like, absolutely not. She was like, teacher, she's like explicitly told me, teachers don't make money, and you're gonna be a doctor. And I was just like so crushed, because it was like she kind of denied everything, or almost everything, that all of the great ideas or great feelings that I had towards my teachers, because it was just like it's kind of like she kind of crushed my dream a little bit. And I'm just like, well, is money that important, like in my head? But you know, growing up, your parents, I'm also used to my parents saying like, oh, you can't have this because we don't have enough money, or you can have this toy, you can have that. So I kind of understood how important money was, and at the time I had to be like in elementary school-ish. So essentially I was just like, okay. So I was like, a doctor? And she's like, yeah, you know, you'll make good money and you can help people. And I was like, okay, well, but can I help kids? Because my focus is I want to work with kids. So my mother was like, yeah, you could be a pediatrician. And I was like, oh, perfect. Okay, so a kid, so not only do I love kids, but I get to take care of children. This is like a win-win. So essentially I had that in my head growing up, like, I'm going to be a pediatrician because I love kids, I want to take care of people. Perfect. So fast forward, I feel like by the time I got to maybe like middle school to high school, my mother, again, a great influencer in my life, as you can see, essentially kind of pitched the idea of being a nurse because she worked alongside nurses in a nursing home, and essentially she worked alongside nurses and doctors, but she worked more closely with nurses, and she was able to see essentially that they make great money, and that the schooling is not extensive, like a lot of years. She's like, Natalie, I know you want to be a pediatrician, but did you ever think about becoming a nurse? And I was like, no. I was like, a nurse. And then she essentially kind of explained to me that they do similar tasks as far as taking care of patients, providing patient care. They make great money. So I was just like, okay. And she was like, I know a lot of nurses that make good money. I forgot the figure she told me. Like, let's say she said they make $50 an hour. They do great. You should definitely consider it. And I was like, well, what about being a doctor? And she's just like, medical school is so expensive. It takes a little bit longer. It essentially had me thinking, and I was like, okay, well, that seems like a great alternative. But then I was just like, but it wasn't as, ambitious or rigorous as being a doctor, but it was definitely something I was considering. So anyway, planted a seed in my head, but at the same time, I'm only like maybe middle school going into high school, so there's still a lot of time, there's still a lot of room for change, growth, changing your mind, and really figuring out, still more time to figure out. So I was either teetering between being a doctor and a nurse. And one of the reasons why I I told myself that I would, pursue an advanced degree in nursing is when I was in one of my chemistry teachers in high school essentially asked us what we wanted to be when we grew up. And essentially I told her that I wanted to be a nurse. Everyone in the class explained what they wanted to be when they grew up. I told her I wanted to be a nurse, and she quite literally took me to the side at the end of the class, and she's like, Natalie, I know you mentioned you wanted to be a nurse, but I honestly feel like you should push to be a doctor. Like, you definitely seem like you have it in you. And I was like, and I was like, okay. And then she like looked at me like, no, seriously. And I was just like, okay. And it was just like, kind of like, I guess she saw like that maybe it was going in one ear and coming out the other, because, my parents or my mom had kind of planted the nursing seed. I think I even told her, but nurses make great money, but she was just like, no, you should push for doctor. So once she said that, plus my mom saying that you should be a nurse, I was like, okay, so maybe if I'm going to nursing, let me like push for the highest level of that. And I think in doing some research, maybe someone mentioned being a nurse practitioner, and I was able to Google it and kind of figure out what that discipline was. Okay, so being that I knew I wanted to be in the nursing field, there's something called summer youth. So it's basically a youth program where you can pick a job and you get paid over the summer. So you can start it at the age of 14. So at the age of 14, I knew I wanted to do something in healthcare. And I knew in order to pivot, I needed to either volunteer at a hospital or have some exposure to the hospital so I could build my resume. So in summer youth, you can choose to work in a nursing home if you wanted, in recreation, basically essentially helping the residents in the nursing home with activities for leisure. So whether it be helping coordinate bingo, or if they have like a concert in the nursing home, arts and crafts, things like that. So when I applied to summer youth and I got accepted, I said, I definitely know I want to work in a nursing home. So I chose a nursing home, and that really gave me a little bit of exposure of what it would be like working in, in a healthcare setting. And I actually liked it. I mean, initially the smell of the nursing home kind of like threw me off. I'm just like, oh my God, it's not, I don't know if you've ever been in a nursing home, but a nursing home definitely has a very distinct smell that could be a little underwhelming. Some hospitals typically don't have that smell, typically, depending on the unit. But yeah, the nursing home definitely has a distinct smell. So anyway, so fast forward, went to the summer youth, and I did it for a few years. And then I don't remember exactly who told me about the discipline of nurse practitioner, but all I do remember is that there was a nurse practitioner that was in the nursing home that would only come on Wednesdays. And then at that point, I kind of knew that, nurse practitioner was like a step above, was an advanced degree as compared to a nurse practitioner, but not as ambitious, I guess, as you would say, as a doctor. But I had made my mind that if I'm going into nursing, I might as well be a nurse practitioner. Like what's the highest level of the nursing field? Like, what is an advanced degree? Let's if I'm gonna choose nursing, let's go for an advanced degree in nursing. So I remember like the nurse practitioner would only come in on a Wednesday, and when she would come, I would literally just like stare at her, and I would watch her like in her notes, like on the computer typing up. But I didn't have the courage to like tell her like, oh my God, you're a nurse practitioner, I want to be a nurse practitioner too. You know, I didn't really have the courage or the confidence to approach her and interrogate her and interview her. And then also she seemed really busy at work too, and I didn't want to be rude or disturb her or anything like that. But I definitely admired her from afar. I know now that I definitely want to be a nurse practitioner. It's time to apply for nursing school. I'll graduate high school. I didn't want to go too far away from home because, you know, I grew up in a very loving, nurturing home. I didn't really, you know, my parents gave me a lot of freedom growing up. I didn't really feel like I needed the legit going away experience, but I was open to going away where it was close enough to come home anytime I wanted to. I got accepted to 2 schools. So essentially I got accepted to 2 schools. One was in Pleasantville, New York. I live in New York. One was in Pleasantville, New York, which is a little upstate. Like I would have to dorm to go there, which would be excellent because I'm still in New York and I do get the dorming experience. And then the other one was Hunter College in Manhattan. So I got accepted to both. Pleasantville was giving me a scholarship that covered quite a bit of the expenses, but I still would have some to take care of on my own. And then Hunter College is a city college. They weren't giving me any type of scholarship or funding. I would have to pay strictly out of pocket, but it was more affordable because it is a city college, not a private or a state college. So essentially my mother said, listen, for a nursing, you know, for a nursing degree, you don't really need to go to an Ivy League school. She basically said it doesn't really make sense to take out a lot of loans to go to nursing school because essentially the nursing salary is uniform throughout, especially as far as respective to states, right? So like the nursing salary in New York can vary, but generally it's the same, you know, depending on the facility, likewise in other states, right? So she said it doesn't make sense to incur or amass, that's a better word. It doesn't make sense to like amass but essentially she told me it doesn't make sense to amass a lot of student loans. It's not like you're going for a certain degree where you went to university really kind of dictates or helps or determines what job you land. So I took that into consideration, but I still wanted to go away. And I wanted the best of both worlds, but then she cut a deal with me. Essentially she said, listen, if you go to Hunter College, I will pay for your schooling because it is affordable, but if you go to upstate, you're gonna have to take out your loans and do it on your own. And that put a fork in my heart because I was just like, so you're not gonna take out the loan for me? Like, isn't that what parents are supposed to do? And she was like, that's my deal, that's my offer, take it or leave it. So after much consideration, it just made more economic sense to go to the school that, you know, my mom was willing to pay for. So that's how I ended up going to Hunter College in New York City, and fortunately it did work out. However, my first year I did not do well. I feel like I addressed this in previous videos. I just feel like New York City public school, which is what I attended, does not really adequately prepare you for college. I really had to learn how to sit, study, concentrate, be disciplined. I think a lot is spoon-fed in New York City public school, and college is a totally different game. Like, there's no one behind you. There's no one behind you making sure you're doing what you need to do. There's no one spoon-feeding you anything. So that was quite an adjustment that I had to get used to. So essentially my first year in nursing school at Hunter, I did not do well. I had a 2.75 GPA, or no, a 2.67. Not even a 2.75, a 2.67 GPA. I was just not focused. I was kind of seeking this socialization that was just not realistic if I wanted to do well in school. And essentially I had to learn the hard way. So essentially I had to spend the bulk. So once I got such a horrible GPA, I knew that I had to buckle up if I wanted any chance at doing well. Like, I knew I had to buckle up and buckle down. So I ended up taking summer classes, winter classes, just like elective classes, just to get my GPA up so that I could be eligible for the nursing program. Because at Hunter, you don't get accepted into the nursing program right away. And your second year, you apply to it and you may or may not get accepted. And if you don't get accepted, then you have to have an alternative, essentially a plan B. So to cut a long story short, luckily with God on my side, prayer, discipline, I was able to then start doing well. But unfortunately, I had to kind of slowly but surely lift this GPA. So you know, fast forward, I was able to graduate Hunter College successfully as a registered nurse. This was in 2014. So I graduated high school 2010, graduated nursing school with my bachelor's degree in nursing in 2014. But it was very stressful. I did not have a social life. I cried a lot. I talked about this in a previous video, my video where I said how to become a nurse practitioner fast. I'll link that video here as well. But it was like quite the stressful journey, and but it definitely built character, it definitely built resilience. So I'm not mad at it now, but in the moment we were not too happy. Okay, I'll be honest, we were not too happy in the moment. I graduated May, maybe like May 18th or May 24th or 25th, like late May. Let's say like the 3rd to 4th week of May. By August, maybe early August, I took my NCLEX boards, passed on the first try. Studying for the NCLEX was quite stressful. I was super nervous going to the test. Like, I thought I was gonna puke, have a number 2, pass out, all that. They were giving me instructions when I went in to take the NCLEX. I didn't hear a word they were saying. I don't even know how I knew where to go, because everything, it was just like, everything they were saying was like an echo. Like, I was so nervous. But luckily, I did pass. And then I landed my first job as a registered nurse. And I did speak about this in one of my previous videos. I'll link that video as well. I feel like I'm linking all my videos, but definitely talked about this. I experienced intense bullying on my first job as a registered nurse. And let me tell you, I literally just got the chills, because it was just horrendous. It was a manager of mine. She was not too fond of me. And essentially she made my introduction to the nursing field as a professional, as an entry-level professional, very sufferable. Like, it was horrendous. It was gruesome. It was egregious. It was sad. It was overkill. It was really bad. And she was a bully that was essentially tolerated in that facility. She was responsible for a lot of nurses, a lot of staff resigning and leaving the hospital in its entirety, and it was widely tolerated, largely widely, totally tolerated. But essentially, I knew, when I graduated nursing school, there was a shortage in nurses. Yes, there was a shortage of nurses. However, it's very expensive to train nurses, so not a lot of people wanted to train nurses. So there was a hiring freeze, yet there was a shortage. So I knew that I needed to endure this abuse, essentially, for at least a year, and then move on to the next hospital. And then I knew that I wanted to be a nurse practitioner, so I knew I had to, I couldn't just let my dreams crumble because of one obstacle or one hurdle. So essentially, I endured those injustices. And let me tell you, the older nurses, the more senior nurses didn't do anything to, those senior nurses didn't do anything to challenge her. Her superiors, if you follow the chain of command, the people above her didn't do anything to challenge her. So her behavior was essentially accepted. Fast forward now to this day, she no longer works there. I heard through the grapevine, but the damage was already done to me, among other nurses. So if you want more details about that, I'll definitely link the video there. But after I got my year, I left that hospital, went to a teaching hospital, a more sophisticated hospital in New York City, because that previous hospital was in Queens. So I moved to a hospital in New York City. And there I didn't have to endure any of those injustices. Was able to, get seasoned, trained, oriented to the unit, became very proficient, moved out of the novice phase as a nurse, became a more proficient nurse. And then, and they had a better package as far as tuition reimbursement. They pay for up to 16 credits at the time for you to go back to school. So they don't give you a specific dollar amount limit. Is the amount of credits. So you can get accepted to any nursing program, or graduate nursing program, and they would pretty much cover the cost of it, which was great. It worked out really great. Graduated nursing school as a registered nurse in 2014. I was 22 at the time. Then I spent a year at a hospital in Queens. Then by the time I was 23, I moved on to a hospital in the city. Spent about 2 years there to really get seasoned, because I feel like I lost the year a little bit with the bullying and not really being my full potential, because I'm essentially trying to protect myself. So from then on, I worked at the hospital in the city for about 2 years. At that point, I will be eligible for tuition reimbursement. So then after 2 years, I turned 25, and I kind of had like a quarter life crisis. If I'm to live to 100, it will be a quarter life. But I was just like, okay, Natalie, what are we doing with our lives? Like, the plan was to be a nurse practitioner by the age of 25. You're 25, you're still working on the floor, you're seasoned, you get it, you've kind of learned a lot that's supposed to be learned here. What are we doing? So I ended up applying to Nurse Practitioner School, got accepted, went back to Hunter, got accepted, completed, the program was about 3.5 years, completed the program in 3 years. Yeah, the program it was about 3.5 years, but I completed it in about 3 years, roughly, right? Or 2.5. No, I'm lying. The program was 3 years. My bad. Sorry. So the program was 3 years. I just took extra classes because 3 years just seemed really long to get a master's degree, because it's a master prepared. And I graduated in 2.5 years because, remember, undergrad kind of conditioned me to take winter, summer courses to kind of knock things out and get them out the way. So I took that same attitude in graduate school. I finished in 2.5 years because I took extra classes during the winter and summer courses to kind of expedite me. And then I graduated in 2020, January 2020, as an adult geriatric nurse practitioner. And after I became a nurse practitioner, COVID ensued. The primary care setting, which my degree is in, the primary care setting essentially folded because of COVID. So as you know, the primary care setting shut down. Everything was in the inpatient setting. So it took me quite a while to find a job. So I graduated January 2020, but I actually didn't land my first job until, when did I land my first job? I actually didn't land my first job until April 2022. So it took me about 2 years to land my nurse practitioner job, partly because of COVID. During COVID, we started taking care of a lot of critical care patients on the med-surg floors. We were taking care of a lot of critical patients, always calling rapid response. And I was like, listen, why should I stay on the med-surg floor calling rapid response left, right, and center? I might as well go to critical care where all the resources I need are there, from medicine to providers to the urgency. So I ended up going to the medical ICU. And then from the medical ICU, I got my CCRN certification. And by then, the opportunity did come for me to land a nurse practitioner job. So I got my nurse practitioner job, which I really love now. I do work in the outpatient setting 5 days a week. The schedule sucks. Okay, give me 4 10s, give me 3 12s in the outpatient setting, but in a perfect world. But we're still gonna manifest it, even though that's not our reality right now, but we're still gonna manifest it. And believe it or not, at my nurse practitioner job, there has been attempts to like passively bully, a little passive aggressiveness that I've noticed among coworkers, because I do work among nurse practitioners and doctors. So you get a different kind of rapport, a different kind of feel depending on who you're working with. But definitely there has been attempts at the bullying. But at this point, we kind of weathered that. We've been through that. So, we know how to deal with that effectively. And outside of bullying, I would say that as a nurse practitioner, I have experienced ageism, sexism, and the other ism that is based on my phenotype. I'm not going to say it, but if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But honestly, I feel like the challenges of nursing school, my background, my parents, my upbringing, my culture, dealing with bullying at a young age within my first professional job, kind of built like this strength and resilience that is quite powerful, and it just allows me to just let it roll off my back. There's some days are easier than others, but you know, I would say to, you know, to any nursing student that is enduring, you know, like you feel like nursing school is so hard, you just feel like it's a lot, you feel like you want to give up, like I'm telling you, it is quite literally building you up to have that backbone that you need when you enter the workforce. And that backbone you need to advocate for your patients, because even as a nurse practitioner, just the other day, you know, my superior was essentially telling me that a patient shouldn't have this, and he essentially tried to go to his superior in the chain of email to basically prove me wrong, and his superior agreed with me. So it's like, you know, and you know, if I was in my 20s, you know, I probably would be too timid to kind of respectfully challenge my superior. But at 30s, I know that, you know, I'm dealing with patient population, people's lives, you know, people belong to families that they love, and you know, speaking up is, being afraid to speak up is not an option. You know, you need to speak up for the betterment of your patient and the better good of your patient. So, you know, just, I know it's hard to embrace the challenges or the stress of nursing school as if it's a great thing, because I know it feels horrible, but it's only going to prep and prime you for the workplace and the challenges that lie ahead, because you need the strength to pass the NCLEX, you need the strength to get your first job and choose that wisely, you need the strength to orient, you don't know how your preceptor is going to be, you need the strength to deal with patients, families, coworkers. Mostly it's a multidisciplinary team, and it continues, but it's doable. People do it. I did it. You can do it. We all are going to be okay. And just a side note, while I was going to college and in nurse practitioner school, I did work full time. Well, I did work part time at Wendys as a cashier. Oh, well, on the drive-through, cashier, on the grill, making French fries, all of that. And I feel like Wendy's definitely taught me excellent customer service, and it honestly really taught me how important it is for the customer to feel as if they are in control and that they get what they want, whether they're in control or not. That's one of the skills, and one thing I'm forever thankful for Wendy's is for that. Like, it took me a while to learn it, but once I learned it, I was able to just navigate through my job without any problems. Yeah, the customer needs to feel like they're in control, and in nursing, that is the patient and their family needs to feel like they're in control. And once they're in control, you know, a lot of their anxiety will be at ease, it will be ameliorated, they will feel confident, they'll feel safe, they'll build trust. So even if there is like chaos going on in the background with the interdisciplinary team, you know, at the end of the day, they shouldn't see that. They should see the face, which is whether it's you, the doctor, the physical therapist, and they need to feel like they can trust you and that you're going to advocate for them. If they close their eyes and take a nap, they know that you will protect them. And I felt like that's definitely a skill that I learned while working at Wendys. And quite literally, when I was working at Wendys and studying for my NCLEX, it was so funny because I would see like cute nurses or healthcare providers. I say that, like female healthcare providers that would pull up to the drive-through in their like nice car, and they would order their meals not off the dollar menu but like off the main menu. And back then I was a dollar menu girl, honey. I know how to order me up everything on the dollar menu. And I would see them with their nice cars. And I was like, dang, Natalie, if you don't pass this NCLEX, you're going to be in this Wendy's forever. But if you pass this NCLEX, you're going to be outside with them in a car pulling up to Wendy's. So it's so surreal how these things play out in your head. And, you know, luckily I passed my NCLEX and I'm on the other side with them. But I'm forever thankful for Wendy's for really teaching me, you know, just time management, how to get to work on time, the importance of that, importance of coming to work looking presentable, looking clean, neat, you know, clothes clean, looking presentable, having respect. It taught me how to be humble, have respect, and you know, essentially provide quality service to the customer that needs to know that, you know, the customer that needs to believe that they're right, because, you know, the customer is always right. So believe that they're right, and for them to be in control. As far as nursing, I feel like nursing essentially has shaped my entire being. And I'm not one of those nurse practitioner nurses that nursing is my whole life and it's my whole personality. Honestly speaking, a lot of people probably wouldn't know that I'm a nurse unless I tell them, because I don't know, I just feel like if I embody a lot of the qualities of a nurse, people will ask me, "Are you a nurse? Are you a doctor?" So I kind of wait for that reaction, and I just feel like, you know, a lot of what I do is from my heart. I feel like it's just very innate in me to take care, to give, to nurture. So I don't really need that recognition of a nurse or a nurse practitioner. Like, I love it. It's an honor. I worked hard. It was an ambitious goal, but I'm not one of those like full of themselves nurses, nurses or nurse practitioner. But I feel like it definitely shaped my whole being. Like, as far as my personality, like being humble, for example, being humble, like I feel like nursing has definitely humbled me. You know, when you see patients pass away, when you wrap a patient's body, when you have to have hard conversations with a patient's family, with a patient about, you know, their prognosis, just knowing how fragile life can be, it's just extremely humbling. I feel like nursing has definitely matured me at a young age. In my early 20s, you know, I'm working as a nurse, not necessarily, dealing with life and death, not really working maybe in retail or in IT or in engineering, where, you know, it's not really life or death. It's more of wants versus your necessities. Like, people need healthcare. Some people, you know, need healthcare depending on their condition. And it just allowed me to be very mature, just understand that I have to show up. You know, there's times where you may not want to show up, but you have to show up as your best self with a good attitude, because luckily God has made you the one to take care of someone, not the one in the bed or in the hospital bed that needs care. So it definitely has matured me, you know, immensely. And, you know, a lot of your family members, peers may come to you with nursing advice, so it makes you feel like you're like motherly or the big sister or the go-to friend. So that definitely helps to mature you. So outside of being mature and humble, I feel like it also is responsible for my quality of life and that I have, as far as financial and being able to afford things that I like. When I became a nurse, honestly, I didn't know nursing would take things this far, to be honest. Like, I honestly thought I would just get a home, you know, husband, kids, which I don't have yet. Husband and kids, you know, just a house, a nice car. Husband, kids, I was looking out the window being nosy. Husband, kids, a nice car. I didn't know that it would, you know, afford me like luxury items, luxury vacations, being able to treat my family to experiences that they've never experienced, travel the world with my family. I never knew that COVID would cost the salary for nurses to increase this much. It's definitely not what I bargained for, but I'm not complaining. Even to like be able to go back to school for a master's degree for essentially free, like, what? Like, that is bizarre. Like, my undergrad degree cost, you know, almost like a little over 20K. So essentially you gave me another 20K for free to better my education, to make me more valuable, to add more value to me, to make me more intellectual. Like, wow. Like, I just feel like nursing has been amazing, and it's been such a gift to be able to have my patients trust me. You know, building trust is not the easiest thing. Like, and you can tell when a patient trusts you. It's just like a great feeling to know that I can build trust in a stranger, and they just know that I have their best interests at heart. It's just super humbling. It's such a gift, and I really love it. How else has nursing shaped my life? And now it has allowed me to gain the confidence to impart my experiences and my knowledge on you here on YouTube, to encourage you to be a nurse or to be a nurse practitioner or CRNA, to go into the healthcare field. And even if you don't want to go into the healthcare field, you know, any type of service that you're providing to the community where you can impact lives is amazing. I feel like you should definitely go for it. And it's so funny, like, my stepdad feels like he expresses to me like he feels like I should be a doctor, or I should have been a doctor. Like, why didn't you do it? Even to this day, he kind of has that conversation with me. But honestly speaking, at the end of the day, everyone has a purpose. I trust God's will and His purpose and His path for me. And I feel like if it's his will, it would be done, and I'm a nurse, so that must have been his will, and it is done, and it's very fulfilling, and I love what I do. I have good days and bad days, don't get me wrong, but essentially it balances me out. I have the strength, courage, and will to get up and go to work the next day, even though some days I dread work and I'm just like, but that's where the work-life balance comes in. So if anyone is thinking about getting into the nursing field, healthcare fields, I would definitely encourage you to do it. But I hope you enjoyed my nursing journey. Let me just check the book. Let me check my book to make sure I didn't miss anything. I think I covered it all. But yeah, I hope this has been inspiring to you guys. I was also thinking about doing a Q&A. I don't know if anyone would be interested in a Q&A. If you guys are, just let me know in the comment section below. And if you have any questions, whether it be nurse practitioner related or not, you can definitely ask. As you know, I do also do luxury unboxings. I recently did purchase a home. So if you have any questions regarding that, you can definitely ask me. I had someone ask me on Instagram, do I have any tips for a new home, tips on buying a new home? So if you guys want me to do a video on that, I can also do that as well. And if you haven't already checked out my video, I did have a video previously where I talked about how to become a nurse practitioner. So it's a little bit more information specific on the steps to take to become it. I'll link it here, so I'll definitely be sure to click that video here if you want to know how to become a nurse practitioner step by step. But yeah, so that's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I definitely enjoy sharing my journey, and I hope someone can take something away from it and encourage anyone to either go into nursing or push to do maybe what they initially really sought out to do. In my case, maybe that would have been being a teacher, but what I can say is in nursing, you wear so many hats that, trust me, there's constantly teaching, nonstop, teaching. And if teaching is something I really wanted to pursue, I can also teach as a nurse practitioner clinical, or I can go back for my doctorate to be a professor. So I guess we kind of check that off as well. But again, thank you so much for watching my video. Until next time, bye guys.